Hey folks, welcome back to another segment of stuff I like. Doing a review, kind of a review. I hate calling them reviews because I'm not super thorough. I'm just giving some opinions on a shoe. I got a kind of an early, as I understand, a little bit of an early access peek at the new Nano X2, which if you watch the shoe review segment with Mr. Sean Crocker and I the other day on Gambit Update, you know we covered a lot of shoes, and one of the ones I liked a lot was the X1, which I have here, original X1. And the one I showed on that was kind of a special edition of the X1. This is kind of the standard X1 that's pretty well worn in. So we'll do a little bit of comparison on the two of them here. With our new, first of all, I think the new X2 is a fantastic looking shoe. I'm a big fan of like kind of white and black motif. I don't like a lot of black, so color-wise, not too much black, balanced out with the white. Some great details on the shoe, and the first thing I notice is just how much kind of attention to detail there is. The use of materials, and I will splice in some close-up shots here so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll kind of work our way around the shoe. On this side, the old X1, or I should just say the X1, had a little bit of kind of plastic support running up here on the side. They've continued that, changed the shape of it a little bit, maybe added a little more depth to it, a little more substance. There's a little bit of rubberized texture going up here. I suppose you could do some rope climbs here with this protection. I don't think it's necessarily designed for that, but that is there. More distinct Reebok logo there, and you can see probably the shift in material. We had this kind of synthetic weave material that Reebok's been using for a few years that kind of carries towards the back of the shoe, where on the X2 we've got more of a kind of almost cottony or knit feeling fabric on the front, and then shifts to more synthetic materials in the back. And this is kind of a mesh with like a white line design over top, which I think is super cool looking, but not, probably going to be pretty durable. I don't know if it doesn't look like the ventilation necessarily is too much different on the two shoes, but time will tell. I've worn them for one workout, and the first thing I noticed was the softness of the shoe, and the comfort level is a little bit higher, but I'll talk more on that in a second when we work. Looking at the front of the shoe, I think the rubber on the bottom is more or less identical from my inspection, aside from the color. Tread looks to be pretty much the same, which I had no complaints about, so no issues there. I think visually it's hard to tell, but feel-wise with the shoe on my foot, it did feel like the toe box was a little bit wider. But that said, visually looking at the shoe, I don't think you're going to notice too much. It looks pretty much the same there. Kind of inside of the shoe, again, more of the same with that kind of plastic support around the heel, which I think is going to make this a great, just like the first one, a great hybrid shoe for a little bit of weightlifting, light to moderate weightlifting, running, jumping, all that kind of good stuff, mostly all around CrossFit. Nothing that's going to be super intrusive. There is plastic going over the heel here, which was on the old one as well, which is going to be great for handstand push-ups. Again, Sean and I talked about the Nike Metcon the other day, and that was something that the Metcon has featured that the Nano kind of hasn't. The Nano has had like a hard rubber on the back, but that Metcon has had a little bit of hard plastic, and that does, I don't know if it's necessarily gaining you any handstand push-up reps, but it is definitely noticeable when you're sliding your heel up and down the wall. You have a really smooth slide compared to just kind of a rubbery slide. And then on the back, it's just kind of visual differences there. Looking at the tops, if you can see the tongues, not too much different here, mostly just this aesthetic stuff. It looks like they use some different materials on the tongue, and from what I can tell, there's no real functional difference there, just kind of aesthetics. Maybe it gives that tongue a little more flexibility or a little more breathability there. Another thing that they did carry over for those of you that are looking for more of a running shoe, that I'm sure there's a term for it, but that final lace hole here that you can kind of do an extra run through with your laces, kind of lace them up to get that extra like heel lock. That is present on the X2 as it was on the X1, which probably makes this a better running shoe than some other options. So specifically on this shoe, having worn this today, one thing I can line up and compare the difference on for sure is kind of the height of the heel. And Mr. Patrick Clark, who gave me this pair of shoes to look at and to try out, mentioned that was one of the things Reebok had looked at, was the height of the heel. And having done a few rowing workouts in the X1, I can tell you that heel does dig in a little bit. You go into a lot of ankle flexion. That's probably one of my only real complaints about the original shoe. That and this weave material that Reebok has tended to use a lot over the years tends to to feel pretty thin even initially, and especially after breaking the shoe in. So it kind of feels like, I don't know how to explain it, just feels like the front of the shoe is really thin and there's not much like cushion. You've got kind of a wider toe box combined with this thinner material. It just feels like you're kind of swimming around in there sometimes. Not anything too terrible, but I think this knit material in the front lends a little more, maybe not actual thickness, but maybe just a feeling of thickness to the forefoot of the shoe, which I thought was really nice in the workout. It felt like a squishier shoe to me. And I'm kind of basing this off of my 2 pairs of X1s that are a little more broken in. So maybe that's changed over time, but I do think this is a more comfortable shoe overall. It felt like I really want to get these out on a little bit of a longer run to try them out, or a running workout or Metcon, because I think they're going to be really good hybrid running shoe. But that's about it. You can let me know in the comments or message me directly if you have specific questions about the shoe. But all in all, I'd say this is a really good looking shoe, super comfortable, a little bit wider toe box, I would say, than the X1. So if you had an issue with that, maybe give the X2 a go. And I'm sure there's going to be more colorways coming out. So I would give this out of a pass or fail, definitely a pass. Check it out. Not sure on the pricing. I'll have to wait till it officially releases, but I expect it to be kind of on par with the X1 and some of the other Reebok shoes. That's the X2 for you. Thanks for watching. Check you next time.